Welcome to the Christie Taylor Show. I'm your host, Christie Taylor. Happy December. And I have to say, it's my December birthday month, or should I say, December is my birthday month. So I have extra joy this holiday season. Yay, December. And to help me kick off this amazing month, I have a very dear friend. She's originally from Memphis, and we met while we were doing radio, and she has since gone on to pursue other creative aspiration, which includes hitting the theater. That means the stage, TV, and film. And I'm super excited to have, I call her my baby sis, Jennean Farmer. She's a professional actor. She received her Master of Fine Arts in Acting from the New School for Drama in New York City in 2015. Before receiving her MFA, Jennean served 8 years in the military and is an Operation Iraqi Freedom War veteran. She also has a background, as I said, in radio, television broadcasting, having worked professionally as a traffic reporter. Now, a few of her credits include at the NYC Theater, Tony Stone, Ain't No More, which had an amazing run at the Public Theater. Also, amazing other projects, including, I got to jump down to it, television and film, FBI on CBS, One Tree Hill, How the Light Gets In on Amazon Prime. But I got to toot my own horn. She also starred in a short film that I did. It's called Smile. Hi, Jennean.
Hey, how you doing? And you know
You
what? You
know,
were right. It December is your birthday month. You are supposed to
yes,
celebrate
it is.
the entire month. Starting December 1st, everybody should just be like, "Happy birthday, Christy."
Happy birthday to Christy, indeed. So, this is a great way to share my birthday month is with someone I love deeply. And we've known each other a long time. Actually, I think you had just graduated from what, Middle Tennessee State University,
Mhm.
and you were a communication major. And as I stated, you were a traffic reporter. However, your love for acting won out. So, first of all, what was the spark for acting for you?
Ooh. I'm gonna take it back to the '80s when I saw Rudy on the Cosby Show. I don't know what it was about her, and maybe it was just seeing this young girl who was around my age doing this work. I thought I can do that and I want to do that. And anytime I would even go to school and they would do the "what do you want to be when you grow up?" I would always take a picture of Rudy. And I don't think I really understood exactly what I was signing on for when I was a little girl. But my mom kind of talked me out of it. she, Mama was like, "Oh no, actors and actresses, they are not about the faith. They are not about that Christian walk." And I was at the time, I was just like, "Ooh, I want to be loved by Jesus. I can't,
Right, right.
I can't be an actress." And so I decided, let me tell you how I got into radio, television broadcasting because you remember in the 90s when a lot of TV hosts would kind of be on soap operas. Every now and
Yeah.
then, you see a TV host on a soap opera. And one day I was watching, I think, All My Children or something, and I saw a TV host, or maybe it was even Oprah on one of them. And I was like, "Oh, that's how I'm going to get in." I'm I'm going to be on Entertainment Tonight, and somebody is going to ask me to be like on All My Children or Young and the Restless, and they're going to love me, and that's
Yes.
how I'm going to make it.
Oh, I love it. So your break, you pretty much, even though you complied with your mom and did another degree, you were going to use that degree to still slip into acting. I love it. I love it. But how did you actually slip into acting?
um, Honestly, okay, so I feel like you already know this story, so I got to
But
tell
this
you.
is a good story. You got to tell it.
This is a great story. So, working as a traffic reporter at the radio station with Christy. Am I able to say the name of the station? The
Yeah,
No.
why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was working for Clear Channel Radio when it was still called Clear Channel in Memphis, and I was the traffic reporter in the morning and the afternoon. And I was listening to Michael Baisden, and I think he's out of Florida. Isn't Michael Baisden
I
out of
think
Florida?
something like that. Something like
Yeah,
that.
so I was listening to his Live Out Your Dream series, and he was talking to a number of people who had done these jobs that were, survival jobs, the jobs that got you your 401k or your retirement and so on and so forth, your health insurance. But many of these people were not happy with what they were doing. And so they took a risk. They went out on a limb and they said, I'm going to do the thing that I always wanted to do, and I'm going to try to be happy in this new career path. And I remember I listened to that episode, and I was just like, I do not want to be a traffic reporter. I never wanted to really work in television, along like the broadcast news side. And I remember, I think at that time, our interaction was a lot about, like, I would call you and be like, can you play this gospel song? While I'm in the traffic car, can you play this gospel song for me? And we would talk like on some, like, passing the time. And I remember going up to your studio. I don't even recall us ever having a conversation about acting before that. Maybe we did and I'm just forgetting. But I remember going up to your studio, and I said to you, I want to act. I think I want to go to grad school for acting. And you were the first person to say, yes, you can do that.
Yes.
uh, oh God,
Girl, don't make us cry. Don't make us cry on this. Okay. Because I remember that particular episode. Because you're right. I don't know if you had ever said to me prior to about your love of acting in that. But of course, I think at the time, working on some other film related stuff most people didn't know I was doing. Um, and maybe we were just talking about movies or something, and then you ended up kind of just, I think, letting the cat out the bag what your real desire was.
mhm.
And then you had actually, you had made some quiet moves to go to some acting boot camps or something. And I think that's when you really shared with me because something didn't go the way you wanted and you were heartbroken.
Yeah, I had applied to grad school just on some, I had no idea what I was doing. I really did not understand. I didn't understand the craft of acting. I had never taken a class in my life, but I was just like, I'm going to go to school for acting, and I'm going to apply to just two schools. And I applied to USC, I believe, yeah, USC, and the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City. And
Amazing programs.
yeah, amazing programs, where I had to learn two monologues: a classical monologue. Classical is along the lines of Shakespeare, and a contemporary monologue. I think when I think well, at that time, I think I learned something from George C. Wolfe's The Colored Museum.
Mm.
So I just did what I thought was right. I had no coaching at all. And I didn't get into USC. I got into the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, but I couldn't afford to go. I also didn't understand, like, the financing of school, just how much money it took and all of that. I just wasn't thinking along those lines. I just thought I want to go to school for acting. And I couldn't afford to go. I had talked to my parents about it, and at that time, my parents said, you just came back home from college. You also have only been back in the country after being in Iraq for about a year or so. You got this job that's stable. Why would you want to give it up to act? And
Right.
it really hurt my feelings, because I thought that was it. I was like, this is the end all be all. I'm gonna get it. It's gonna happen, and it did not go my way. And I remember, what's the woman's name who used to be the producer for WDIA, Bev Johnson? What's the woman's name?
Yes.
You remember the woman?
Bev Johnson.
What was the woman's
Bev
name?
Johnson.
Yeah, yes, but she had a producer. I interned with her. Ooh, what was that woman's name?
Oh yes. I can't think of her name too, but she was a beautiful soul. Beautiful lady.
Yeah, I remember telling her how upset I was, and she told me, She said, look, you can walk around here being busted and disgusted, or you can find another way to do what you want to do.
That's right. That's right.
Going to you, and you said, I have this friend named Ekundayo Bandeli at the Hattie Lou
Yes.
open his own theater off of Union. It's a black box theater. I'm gonna call him and I'm just gonna tell him about you. And just off of your referral, this man put me in a play. I think the last play I had been in was probably in like fourth grade, where I played a queen in Snow White.
Oh, wow. Oh, shout out to Exdaya Vandele and Hattiloo Theater when it was on, what was that little side street?
Wasn't it like off of Union? Oh God, what was
Yeah. Oh, was it?
Marshall? No.
Yes. Yes. When it was on Marshall. When it was on Marshall. Yes. And
Yes.
I love that theater. I love that. Well, of course, he has a prestigious one now in the
Yes.
district, in the Playhouse district area. But yes, Ekendayo showed you major love, but you showed him major. Oh, honey, your gift, your gift.
You know what? No, let me be real with you. Eck was not playing games.
No, he wasn't.
Eck was
He had a vision.
on that New York mentality.
Yes.
He was like, you coming up in here, you better be ready. You better be on your cue. You better have it together. And I was not ready for that. I was just like,
Right.
oh, he is so mean. He got an attitude. But he kept planting seeds in me. You kept
Yes,
planting
he.
seeds in me. He kept being like, you should come back and try this. And I'd be like, no, I don't want to do theater. I'm gonna be on The Young and the Restless. Like,
Yes, that was the other thing. I remember when we had that heart to heart in the studio, and you were heartbroken. And I'm so glad. I wish we could remember her name. And she had already primed the pump. So when you came to be teary eyed, I have to go and say she had a moment in the studio, and I'm like, okay, God, what do I do? And I was like, I can't. You were doing the I can't. This won't. And I was like, do you want to act? Yes. And I said, do you want to act? Yes, but I can't. I said, do you want to act, or do you want to go to school to act, to learn how to act? And I think you eventually saw that I was drilling you to answer your soul's question. Your soul's question was, I want to act. I said, then act. And then that's when act, thank God he showed you love and always eternally. Because we had done things when I came back from Detroit. That's when I met him, and we were at the Memphis Black Arts Alliance at the firehouse right there in the Soulsville area. So he already knew that if I was gonna, I knew you were gifted. I mean, we could see what was already in your heart, and you already are a character, really.
I think most people don't. Sometimes I think most people don't. They get a certain, and this is, depending on who you're around. There is
Yeah,
a
that's true.
thing that people will get, but with my friends, I will clown all day.
But yes, she will, and she will clown you. Not only clown, but clown you more specifically. Clown you. So when you became a, I would say, a mainstay in the Hattiloo Theater Circle, that wasn't enough. So let's talk about, when you decided, because it was always television and film for you. You didn't think theater was sufficient. I was like, girl, look, the greatest actors that we all admire were theater actors first. They were the thespians. They, and they had gone to graduate school. They had trained. So I said, get in that theater, and yeah. So go ahead and talk about that journey.
You know what? I still didn't get that. Yeah, I just was not. A lot of it was just I didn't understand the craft of acting, where it
Yes.
exactly came from. I didn't have that education or that knowledge. And so, I was running from the theater because I was just like, this is not the medium for me. I need to be on somebody's TV show. But, I can't even think of how I just knew I wanted something more.
Right.
And
do you remember when you came to me and said, I'm going to start taking, because we had gotten over the heartbreak of not going to grad school. And I think you started taking some freestanding classes from the University of Memphis or somewhere like that.
Girl, you reminded me.
Oh my God.
I think, when was, I did do that. Oh,
Yes.
wow. Yes, I did do that.
Yes. And then you go, okay, because I think you went to, okay, because low key, you were still keeping it from your parents. That you were kind of like, I remember you kind of like gradually starting to tell your mom, because you and your mom are super, super close.
Yeah.
But I think you had done some things before you really just started broadcasting that you were serious about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you had took some classes. Yeah.
I definitely took classes at the University of Memphis. I was keeping things on the low with the parents because I was just like, you all really don't support it. But whenever I booked something, they would know. But also, it wasn't just the parents who weren't supporting. It was parents, friends, aunties. I remember I had one aunt who was just like, you just don't stop doing this acting thing and get serious. And I was thinking, I am serious.
Yes.
Also, I don't know if I ever told you about the time that my mom was at her. This is about to be serious. She was at her gastroenterologist, and I was waiting for her. And when the doctor was done, nice looking man. I think from an area of Africa, whatnot. And he said, "So what do you do?" And I said, "I'm an actor." And he was like, "Why would you do that? That leads to nothing." I was like, "How is it that random people who are connected to my need to tell me what I should do with my life?" And also, too, like Christy, that also was a fuel for me because I was just like, "You ain't gonna tell me that." You ain't gonna tell me that I'm not going to be able to succeed at this. And I think that was also a catalyst for me being like, I have to find other places where I can learn how to do this. For lack of a better word, correctly. I don't know if there is a correct way of being an actor. You can learn many different types of technique and structure, and go to many different types of schools in order to become your actor. Is that our alarm?
But it's all good. Keep on going. We got time to talk about this, and with this conversation, I don't get a chance to talk to you often from New York City. So if I need to do a two-parter, we can do that. So let's get to this. You're right. You became. I'm so grateful that you're telling this part of the story because somebody is going to be like, okay, this is what I need to do too. You have people who love us. I mean, like totally, like deeply love us, but oftentimes, out of their concern for us, they want us to play it safe.
Yeah.
But you began to, once you got a taste of the theater, because see, remember y'all, she still just wanted to do TV and film, but it's the theater that's really giving her that grit and biting, that's making her bite a bigger piece and a bigger piece. So, okay, you started taking some classes. I think you did a couple of acting coaches around here, the University of Memphis. And then what else did you do? Did you go to an acting camp one time?
Not while I was in Memphis.
Okay.
One acting class at the University of Memphis. I worked with a couple of coaches here and there, booked a few things, decided to get an agent while I was in Memphis because I was like,
which I was so proud of you when you did that because I said, now she about the business.
Yeah.
She was about the business because yes. Shout out to you on that.
Yeah. So I got an agent and, a lot of it was really about finding out who I needed to talk to, where I needed to be in order to find the opportunities for me. I think I was doing a lot of hustling while I was in Memphis, more so than I do here. I need to remember that mentality.
Hustle and flow, baby. Memphis will make you hustle. You better.
Yeah, if there was a project going on, if it was an independent film, if it was a commercial, I was like, I need to know about that. I need to figure out how I can get on. I need to figure out who I need to, like, who in Memphis is a part of the film industry that I can develop a relationship with and network with in order to build my craft and build my resume. Because this is also about building your resume too. Your resume of people that you know and the resume of things that you do, and those projects will hopefully lead to you having experiences that will teach you more about the craft. So yeah, Memphis was like, I gotta figure out how to get up. Even like you and trying to talk up the people that you knew and the project you had written, I was like, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna get into this project.
And you did, okay? Because I had co-written a movie with Julius Lewis, who was the founder of Heritage Entertainment, concert promoter across the country, based here in Memphis. And we had co-written several years earlier a movie. And, when it finally came together, because Kim Fields was on to direct first. And eventually, as things happened, someone else directed it. But you got in it. Not only did you, and what was his name who played your opposite in that scene? Who was that?
Oh my God, what was that young man's name? I can't remember. That's so sad. Oh
My goodness. Yes. And it was one of the most hilarious scenes in the entire movie. And I think it was around that time too. You had done quite a bit of commercial work in what you call industrial film work here locally. Was Colors your agency?
Colors was initially my agency, and then I went to Elza Meyer Talent Agency with Abby. Abby used to be with Colors, then she broke off and started her own thing. She doesn't have an agency in Memphis anymore.
No, she's flipped to some other things, but yeah, she was very instrumental. And at some point, you decided to go west.
Yeah, so I booked a day player role on One Tree Hill. Abby brought me in for that. She put me on tape. I had to do a self tape, and she sent that in, and I booked a day player role on One Tree Hill. And
wow,
you know what's funny, Christy? A couple of days ago, I woke up thinking about that experience, thinking about the experience on set, One Tree Hill, and how green I was. No one really gives you a roadmap for exactly what you need to do when you're on set. No one really tells you like who you're supposed to be talking to, and really what your role is. As a day player, you are not the star. Show. At that time, I think I thought, I'm about to be on, and then, but listen, it was not that. It was, you were brought in for this specific role. One Tree Hill is not your show.
Even though I remember you telling me about your experience, and you were being what we now call very Hollywood on somebody else's set. Oh my God. You're like, I've arrived.
Yeah. I can't remember everything, but there were moments where I was like, why is it that people aren't talking to me? I feel like,
Now, not too long after that, you decided to really go another notch up. You went to LA, you were out there for a minute, and you actually, did pretty well as far as getting a greater sense of, as you say, understanding the industry. But you had a chance. Even then, you didn't figure it out then? You were just going through the motions that whole time.
Listen, for those 2 years that I was in LA, I was trying to figure out what I was doing. Because at that time, Memphis was like a pond of actors. And not all of them were serious.
Right.
A lot of it was people who was like, I want to get on, I want to do this thing, blah, blah, blah. So, that's how Memphis supposed to be. Like, I'm about to do this thing. The movie going on. Tell me about that type of stuff. So there were people who were like, I really want to figure out how I can turn this into like my career path. And there were people who was like, hey, put me in your movies. So and
you were somewhere in that flow, right?
I was Listen, I'm gonna be like, I was in between because I wanted to be in your movie and I wanted to make this a career path. So like,
Yes.
it was a pond of people. I get to LA and everybody and their mama is acting. People out
Right.
there for years. And then also there's the idea of like, which is still like real talk, a part of the Hollywood machine, beauty. Like
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
where knowing who you are as far as the roles you're going to get based on how you look, based on how you talk, based on who you know. And
Mm-hmm.
I got to LA and I was just kind of a little bit in shock of the whole thing of how much I needed to be a part of certain people's clique in order to possibly get on,
Right.
or
Right.
how I didn't feel pretty enough because I was the black girl that wasn't ethnically ambiguous or exotic. I mean,
Yeah.
how many times I'm gonna get asked whether or not I'm Asian because my eyes look a certain way in a picture? Like, come on.
Right.
you know,
Right.
and I still wanted to act. I took acting classes and all of that stuff. But
As a
I
matter of fact, you had a chance to, Beyonce stepdaddy.
yeah, which is
Well, of course, he wasn't married to, Miss
Tina,
Knowles at the
Tina,
time,
Tina.
Tina at the time. But yes, you was. I thought you okay because by that time I had left radio, had gone back to school,
Mhm.
and was working on my theater degree, undergrad, and was on my path. Eventually I would kind of touch down in LA right about the time you were leaving to kind of
Mhm.
pursue more of the screenwriting aspect. So when we would have our Skype, taking it back to Skype, and you were like, hey, run these lines with me. Run these lines with me. I'm thinking, once again, from a Memphis home, Southern Midwest perspective, I'm like, LA, this girl done went out there. She doing it. Like, but I will say, taking some of the pressure off, because I already know I know who I'm talking to. I know that you are a perfectionist and that you have very high goals and ambitions. You
Yeah.
really had a focus
Mhm.
that once you, from that moment you were at Clear Channel, like, I'm not coming back. I'm not just coming, like, you were focused. And I want to celebrate in this moment, Jennean Farmer, that you were focused. And from the time you connected from Ekendayo Bendele, Hadaloo Theater, till now, you retain your focus. So hats off to you, celebrate you, my baby sister. And even though you felt like you didn't know what you were doing in LA, you were following your inner star. And
Mhm.
I could tell that you were on your path, that you were like, and I'm not coming off this path. I'm not
Mhm.
doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's funny how people see things that are taking place.
yeah.
While I was in LA, there were things where I felt like I could have been doing better. Whereas you were seeing like Jennean is really out here trying, like going after what she wants. And yeah,
Yes.
there were times when you would call me on Skype and we'd be running lines for a class. And sometimes every now and then I would get an audition that I would find
Mm-hmm.
myself. But
Yes.
it wasn't until a young lady who had actually went, she had gone to Central High School with me. She was a year
Here
younger.
in Memphis, because it was a nice little Memphis collaborative out there,
Yeah,
collective of people. A
yeah.
deep.
Yeah, a lot of Memphians in LA. This young lady had gone to NYU and then she moved to LA to focus on her career. And I remember her telling me this was in 2011, either 2010 or 2011. She says to me, Jennean, you should think about going to grad school. And even you, Christy, you kept saying, Jennean, you should consider like going to grad school. And at that time I was like, no, I don't want my heart broken again. I don't want to go through the same old thing that I had gone through 6 years ago when I had applied to grad school. And I also didn't want to let down my mom. By this time, my dad had passed away. I think that was also a catalyst in me leaving Memphis and going
Yeah.
to Los Angeles when my dad passed away. And it was just kind of like, go after the things that drive you, because you just don't know how much time you have on this earth. We can all day be like, I'm gonna get married, I'm gonna have kids, blah blah blah. You are never promised tomorrow. And so I was just like, I got to go. And you and that young lady kept pushing me. And I can't even remember when I said, okay, I'm going to try. But I said, okay, I will apply to grad schools. Because obviously you saw something in me, that young lady saw something in me that I just was like, I I don't know, but I'll try. And I made a choice. I said, I'm not leaving LA. I'm gonna only go to schools in LA. I researched schools in LA, all of that. And I remember going to take a trip. This is when I had a car. Oh Jesus, I missed the Corolla. New York, you've taken away my dream of driving. But but I remember I went to it was a meeting at, oh God, University of UCSD. I think it was University of California at San Diego.
I think it was.
I went to a meeting with the admissions person that was over the drama department there, and she was telling me about the school and asking me questions. And she was like, so what schools are you applying to? And I told her all the schools in LA. And she said, she said, are you going to go to San Francisco? And I said, well, why would I go to San Francisco? She said, well, that's where all of the schools will be. She said, don't travel all over Los Angeles to go to these schools to do your auditions, because you had to audition to get into grad school. She said, you should go to San Francisco. They're all going to be in the same location. It will allow for you to easily get to where you need to be and not worry about having to travel. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. I got a coach. Actually, I had three coaches.
That's the reason I said that you were focused. I'm glad we're having this conversation.
Yeah, I got a coach. I had three. I had four monologues, two classical, two contemporary. And I was like, I'm gonna do this different. And I think I told you, Christy, I didn't tell my mom. For months, I was preparing to audition for grad school, and I did not tell my mom because I was afraid of what she was going to say. And I just didn't want to hear, why are you doing this? Or why, like, yeah, I just was afraid of what she would say. And I think for 6 months, I kept it from her. And one day I called her and I said, I got to tell you something. And you've already mentioned how close my mom and we are. My mama is my best friend. And for anybody that says your mom can't be your best friend, don't throw salt on my relationship with my mama. I love her. She's my best friend. Period. She's my mom. She's going to tell me the truth. And she's my best friend. That is it. So I told her, I said, I've applied to grad schools to go to grad school for acting. And that's because every time I would talk to her, I would kind of like keep,
because she is your best friend, you had to pick and choose what you told her, right?
I can't be like that with my mama. It's hard for me not to tell my mama. and I was like, I'm gonna try to go to grad school for acting. And I was like, and I was scared to tell you. And she said, pumpkin, she called me pumpkin. She said, pumpkin. She said, don't you ever be afraid to tell me anything. She said, I'm so proud of you. She said, I'm so proud of what you're doing. And I swear, that was all I needed. I was like, let's do this. I am in the game now. Mama didn't co-signed on it. I'm ready to rock and roll. And I went to San Francisco for my auditions. And little did I know that people were doing free auditions. Many of the grad schools who are there, they're not only auditioning people who have paid the $50 application fee, they are also auditioning anyone who wants to walk into a free audition. And my plan was, I'm going to go to schools in LA because I'm not moving again. What that okay that yeah
Yeah,
funny
yeah.
plans that we make and how God be
Yes.
laughing at you with these plans
Right.
making. So I had run into a young lady who was doing URTAs with me, and URTA is I hope I don't get this wrong. The University of Residential Theater Artists or something like that. And it's basically where many schools come together and you are auditioning for the directors of all of the programs at one time. Now, not every graduate school is a part of URTA, but many are. And so I had met this young lady. Her name was Petal. And she was like, "You want to go over to this other hotel because there's some other schools over there auditioning, and the new school is there." And I was like, "What's the new school? I've never heard of the new school." And she was like, "It's in New York, and I applied last year, and I really want to go," and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "Okay." I was so chilled that weekend because I was like, I know where I want to go. The Lord has brought me here. My mama co-signed on this thing, and whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And we got to,
Yes, yes.
yeah, we got to that space, and um, the woman who was doing the auditions for New School, she was taking people in, and she was like, "You want to audition?" I said, "Well, sure." It wasn't crucial. I was like, "Yeah, this is a warm
Because
up."
you're already thinking, I'm staying in California. I'm just doing this for an exercise, whatever. I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It wasn't that crucial to me, and I knew what I wanted to do. And when I finally went into that audition, it was the first audition of that entire weekend, the first and only audition. Well, yeah, I'll say that. The first and only audition of that entire weekend where I felt that the directors of the programs, it was the director of acting and the director of directing for the new school. It was the first time where I felt like people wanted me to succeed in what I was doing. The director of acting, her name is Catherine Rossiter. She asked me questions about the monologue. She basically coached me on what what I wanted. Like, what does your character want after saying all of these things? You said these things, you're saying them for a reason. What do you want? I went into that audition with a comedic monologue. When I finished, I was like crying, and it was like Kathy was the tear whisperer, and I got to the truth of what my character wanted, and I was like, "Oh my God, I need to find out about the new school." Like I need to find out about the new school. That's how I ended up in New York.
You found out about the new school. And it's so funny because at the time that you were making this decision to actually, I was on my way to LA because I wanted to then, once I completed Oral Roberts University, we on Skype. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to come out there. We're going to be out there together. And then you're like, I'm going to New York. I'm like, what? And
like ships passing in the night.
I know, and I'm so grateful that before you left, I did get a chance to come out there twice, 2011, and I think maybe 2012 for a second right before you left. But it was a beautiful experience because you got a chance to, Lord Jesus, she was so low down when I went out there the first time, y'all. She was like, I don't like being a tourist in LA. I don't like doing the touristy stuff, but I'll do it for you. So I got a chance to be a tourist.
Christie's joy, like, you know what? Now that I've gotten a little bit older, like I accept the joy. But back then, Christie's joy would be like she ain't never experienced anything for, like, when TV first came out, like, oh my God, color TV. Like, oh my God. I've never seen a commercial before in my life. Oh my God, the beach. Oh, let's go down to the Hollywood Walk of
Oh
Fame.
my God! See, this is what we talk about. Oh God! When we say that she can clown you, she can clown you. Oh God!
Christy would be like as imaginative as a 5-year-old. It's just like, come calm down. But you know what? I'm never gonna co-sign on your imagination.
Don't you do it. Don't you do it, because there's a power in finding joy in the simplistic things of life. Even like, okay, when you took me, was it to Studio City? I'd never gone to a gelato bar. It was a fufu gelato bar. And I wanted to find, oh my God, it was amazing. Cayenne chocolate. And then who did we see walk in? Was it Zach Efron? Was it Zach?
That was
Exactly. And I was like, oh my God. Not only did I go to a gelato bar in a fufu part of LA proper, I then even had gelato chocolate with cayenne pepper that was spicy. And then I see an actor on oh my God, I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven. And she's like, he's just an actor.
Okay.
But now, however, now in the NYC, let's fast forward to how you begin to find your own Black girl joy.
I think, let me just be real about some things that other Black actors were telling me, and also things that I was picking up from Black people in LA. I'm gonna just be real. There was this sense of just like, you got to keep things low key. You got to, like, whatever you do, it's got to be, you serious about this. Like, if you see an actor, you got to act like, I'm chill, I'm cool, like I'm supposed to be here. When real talk, that's not honest. That's not truthful. And when I got to New York, just people being their authentic, annoyed selves was my happy place,
Yeah.
Like, there are many times when I would get annoyed about things that weren't in my control, like public transportation in New York. Like, it is never going to be in your control. But I found the honesty to be extremely refreshing. No one, at least the people I was around, were not trying to put on airs. And that's not to say that people in New York don't try to put on airs, but what I also understood is, like, I just have to be myself. And there were many times where I felt like I couldn't do that in LA because people were telling me who I needed to be, how I needed to act in order to in order to be friends with people or get into a room, or like, I have to be super exotic again, like all of these things. I remember I worked an event with a young lady, and there were some people in the Black community, and it was some kind of award ceremony for an organization I had never heard of. I'm gonna be real with you. And they had a buffet going on. You know how, let's be real, when people see food, they be like, I'm ready to eat.
Right.
Like, I'm really not. And there was a time that you were supposed to get the food, and I was manning that area. And one of the people went over and she was like, I'm just gonna get this food. And I was like, ma'am, you can't get I was like, it's not time. 6 o'clock is when you're supposed to eat. And she was like, what do you mean? I'm so-and-so, so-and-so. And I was saying, I still don't know who you are. 6 o'clock is supposed to be getting the food. And then the woman who was with me, she was like, Jennean, you can't be like that. This person, I was like, didn't you tell me 6 o'clock is when? Now I'm being admonished for doing my job. Like, who is this lady? I don't know who she is. I don't really care. Like,
Right.
What organization this is. Whereas in New York, like, if I be like, no, you see
New York really is your community. You are New York. New York is you. New York is you. I love it. I love it. Now, of course, for those who want to kind of find out a little bit more about you, I definitely want them to keep up with you, but we're going to do that right after this. All right, we are back with my baby sis, the one and only Jennean Farmer. And you know something, I know we didn't get a chance to run all of your new NYC credits, but I want to talk about one particular project before we tell them how they can keep up with you, your website, your social media handles, and things of that nature. Um, I want to talk about one of the things that you've done since you made it to New York after graduating and really getting into the whole TV, film, and theater world is uh, Ain't No Mo. But I want to talk about it from this perspective. I had the opportunity recently to interview Khalil Kane, who came to Memphis, starred in a movie called Coming to Africa. Matter of fact, this month they're actually the director and writer from Memphis is in Ghana right now because they shot most of it in Ghana and part of it here in Memphis. And Khalil Kane was a part of that. So when he came here for Indie Memphis Film Festival this fall, I had a chance to chat with him. And I tried in the interview to tell him about Ain't No Mo, that you were in it because I had seen him the year that was on stage, was staging. He talked about it on The Breakfast Club. So here I am trying to have an interview and bring you up and brag on you. And I couldn't remember the name of the play. Lord, I said, Jesus, my baby girl, my sis, she in Ain't No Mo. He done talked about it. Now, I want you to tell me about this amazing uh, stage play that you were a part of that I couldn't remember the name
Yeah.
of when I was talking to Khalil Kane.
Yeah, Ain't No Mo was written by Jordan Cooper. Beautiful young man. He went to the new school with me. He actually was a part of their bachelor's program when I was in the master's program. And Jordan was always, we were always trying to work together in some way. It just, sometimes scheduling just wouldn't happen. And the director of that, of Ain't No Mo, is a young man named Stevie Walker Webb. So when they were doing the readings for Ain't No Mo, before it even got to the public, Stevie was always like, Jennean, you should come on. And there were other things happening. And he was like, I really want you to read for this, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, okay, but I have something else going on. When it finally came around to me actually being able to be a part of the reading, it had gone up to Dartmouth in Connecticut to be a part of a reading festival, and it was special. It is special.
Yes.
Ain't No Mo is about what happens after Barack Obama leaves office and all of the black people in this country are given a ticket to go back to Africa because we can't be in this country after Barack Obama leaves office.
Yeah.
And it was
How prophetic. How prophetic.
right. I believe it was six different kind of like skits of different families or scenarios. And what happened was after it went through its reading phase, it got picked up at the public, and I auditioned for it, and I didn't get it. I did not get to be a part of it. And what the public does is whenever it brings on a new show, it will put it into kind of like they have different stages. So it's kind of like their showcase stage of it. And then if they decide they want to pick it up for the season, then they'll put it on the main stage or one of their main stages for the season. And so I didn't get it. And you talk about hurt.
Yeah.
I don't think I had ever been as hurt as I was that I was not a part of Ain't No Mo when it first went up at the public, because it was one of the best pieces that I had ever been a part of. And I was just like, I don't know what else I could have done better. But there were some things that were going on at that time. At that time, I didn't have any representation. I had been out of grad school for some time, and it doesn't mean that you have to have representation and all that stuff. But there were some things where I was like, maybe I need someone on my team fighting for me so that I can start building up my resume in order to get into rooms and book certain roles. Because let's be real, this business is really also about who you know. It can be about your talent too. If you're talented, great.
Yeah.
But there are many non-talented actors too. And I'm
Yeah.
being real.
Yeah.
This business is and can be about who you know.
It's a relationship-based business. It's a
It's a
relationship-based business.
relationship based business. And so a year or so went by. I got a manager who I love my manager. And I started getting more work. And I did in 2019, at the top of 2019, I did a Black Arts Intensive. And oh my God, it filled my entire spirit with joy about who I am and the people that I come from and what we have done in the arts, the things that we are not being teaching as far as what we have put into the arts. And there was something about that intensive that just kind of opened my soul and my spirit. And there are many times when there is something that's happening that you are not supposed to have. You are under the impression that it is supposed to be yours, but it is not yours, maybe because you're not ready for it yet. You are not ready for it yet. And at the top of that year, I did that arts intensive. I did another theater project. And then I
Mhm.
got a call from my manager. I went into an audition and I booked something at a theater in North Carolina. Well, my manager calls me and he was like, okay, the people at Yale Rep are interested in you being an understudy for this show. And I was like, okay, cool, cool, cool. He was like, but there's something else on the pipeline. He was like, the public is interested in you. And at that time I was like, okay. I didn't even know what he was talking about. And I'm also
Right.
the type of actor where I'm not the type of actor where I'm calling my manager all the time because I'm not his only client. And when I need to know something, I ask him, and we have a meeting and all that stuff. But I'm not about to be calling you 24/7. And usually, when there's something big, not usually, always when there's something big, he tells me. So I was like, oh, maybe he pushed me for something that I don't know about, and I went on about my merry way because I was like, oh, I might be understudying at Yale. Went to work, got an email, and it was an offer from the public to be the understudy for Ain't No Mo. And I was like, oh. And this was for the season at the public for the main stage performances. And I was like, oh. It was almost like I I needed that year to prepare myself before being a part of this show. The Lord was preparing me to be a part of this show. And so when they brought me in, the casting director, her name is Kate Murray, she says to me, Jennean, your audition was the first audition that the public had ever recorded. We've never recorded auditions. And when the time came to where we needed to get an understudy, we looked at your video, your audition, and we were like, yeah, we need to bring her in. And I learned so much about the business of acting or the business of what is happening behind the scenes during that show. Um, so as the understudy, you come in like the main cast has been doing this thing. You come in during tech, so you got to learn all of this stuff. I was the female understudy. There were 4 women in the cast. They each had 5 characters that they were playing. I had to learn all of their roles. So I learned
20 roles.
characters. Yes. What I say about preparing me.
Yes.
I knew, like, me not getting Ain't No Mo that first time when I got it this time and they said, yeah, this is what you're going to be doing, I was like, I got this. I
Yeah.
got this because I know I can do this. I'm
Yes.
ready now for this. And the understudy can often be overlooked. The understudy is often seen as the person that might not know all their lines, but I was like, you don't know Jennean. You don't know who I am. I'm going to know
Yeah.
these lines backwards and forwards. So when the show opened during the first week, one of the actors tore their vocal cord. And I had just started doing my understudy rehearsals. So the understudy does not rehearse with the cast. I had just started doing my understudy rehearsals, and I got a phone call from the stage manager, and he says, Jennean, he was like, hey, honey, how you doing? I was like, I'm good. He was like, so you're going on tonight. And I was like, okay. I don't even know how to explain the feeling that happened in my body of panic, but also I'm ready. I know what to do. I'm ready for this. And so I went on for a week in that show. And a number of people came and they saw, and me going on actually is what led to my next job.
Yeah. I
But
love it.
yeah, Ain't No Mo was like the catalyst for this ball, this dream, like moving. And actually, maybe it wasn't the catalyst. I think a lot of things in my life have been the catalyst of,
Yeah.
a lot of experiences, a lot of heartbreaks,
Mm.
all lessons that have gotten me to the place that I am right now.
Wow. That's
That's
beautiful, Jennean. And of course, for those who want to keep up with my beautiful sister, my baby sis, who her mama loves me and she doesn't want to share her mom with me.
First of all,
But
don't
however, you all can keep up with Jennean Farmer. Go to her website, JenneanFarmer.com. Follow her on Instagram at Jennean28. She doesn't post a lot on Instagram, but when she does, trust me, it's some good stuff. It's good stuff. So follow my baby sis, Jennean Farmer, an amazing actor from Memphis, Tennessee, showing out theater, television, film. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the small screen very soon, putting prayers up to the heavens so that you can also be my Viola Davis.
hey, hey. Or Ingenue Ellis. Hey.
Oh, yes, honey. All of that. All of that. So, Jennean, mostly I want you to be the very best Jennean Farmer that the world needs to know. Thank you for blessing me with this extended show. I am so grateful that you shared yourself with me today here on the Christie Taylor Show. All the love, all the love. I love you more. I love you more. And I love you all for joining us here on the Christie Taylor Show. We'll see you next time.